Never speak.
Thank you, Minister of Education.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. I want to thank my colleague, the professional teacher and a very good friend who has raised this very important matter as far as the professionalism of teaching and teachers is concerned. As he requested, Madam Speaker, we will bring a comprehensive statement as long as the policy shift on the national teacher policy in this country is concerned. And I want to pledge that we will bring that statement on this floor of Parliament with your permission, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, the Honourable Minister of State for Education, my good friend, the Honourable Muriku, was on the floor of this House about a month ago when I raised the issue of musicians going to schools dressed inappropriately and performing. She pledged to bring a statement. She has not brought. Today, she's pledging to bring another statement on the issue of Honourable Sewungu. Right Honourable Speaker, is it not procedural right for the Honourable Muriku to first present the statement regarding these musicians dressed inappropriately going to our schools to corrupt the morals of our children before she actually again presents another statement? Would it not be procedural right, Honourable Speaker?
Right Honourable Speaker.
But look, what is wrong with bringing two reports?
It's okay.
Is there any problem with that?
No.
So what you do, Honourable Minister, bring the two reports.
Yeah,
Let's have the two reports.
Just a small clarification as you come on, Honourable Minister, my good friend, as you've said. Yeah, right Honourable Speaker, and it would be prudent, as she's going to bring that statement, for the Minister to inform this House whether primary teacher colleges, both core and PTCs, are functional or they are not functional. If they are functioning...
That will be included in the report.
Okay, thank you. Most obliged, Madam Speaker.
That will be included in the report.
Madam Speaker, concerning the issue my good friend Honorable Pendi has raised, indeed my ministry acted appropriately and timely. We issued circular on the 1st of August this month, and last week, Madam Speaker, I came with a statement. However, I gave a copy to the Committee of Human Rights because they requested for it. However, even the House needed that statement, and I want to pledge that tomorrow I will come with the same statement that I shared with the Committee of Human Rights. Otherwise, my ministry has barred all musicians to all our schools in this country, and it has defined what co-curriculum activity is all about. I'll bring it tomorrow. I thank you.
But was it also true that those schools belonged to some of us, some of you? I am asking you, Minister, because I also have a school.
Madam Speaker, I cannot authoritatively say whether those schools belong to me or you, Right Honourable Speaker. However, whether private or government, and they must adhere.
And whether they belong to a minister, a member of parliament, or anybody.
Absolutely. Whether minister, myself, or any member of parliament must abide by those circulars. I thank you.
Yes, Pastor.
Thank you very much. Thank you, our good minister and the whole education department. Now, the clarification I'm seeking, I'm Pastor Mary Begumisa, woman member of parliament, Sembabule district, about our children under age. Will that report which you're bringing tomorrow have information about why all Ugandan children freely go to bikinis, discos at night, mix with men, No police officer handles that. They are defiled, they are raped. From school, even in all our communities, I thank you.
Right Honorable
At
Speaker.
least not all of them, Pastor.
At least my village where I grew, I was born, I was married, these calls are done past midnight, including children.
And these children are coming from their homes?
From even schools,
No.
even during day, there is a discotheque in one playground, dancing nudely on a day school. Thank you.
If the children are coming from their homes, that is the parenting bit that I said we have failed.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker, for that statement. Indeed, when the children are in school, we are the custodian of the children, and we are responsible to uphold the moral and integrity of these children while at school. But while at home, you are very right that we have a shared responsibility as parents to educate our children and to ensure they grow up as responsible citizens. I will bring the statement tomorrow.
Thank you. In the public gallery this afternoon, we have pupils and teachers of Rimi Parent School, that is Bunyaruguru, Bunyangabu district. They are represented by Honorable Davis. Children, you're welcome. This is the Parliament of Uganda, and what you hear about children here, we want you to be responsible children. We want to thank you. Join me in welcoming them. Honorable members, in the public gallery this afternoon, we also have a delegation composed of the youth leaders from Youth Coalition for Electoral Democracy, Reach a Hand Uganda, and National Youth Advocacy. They are here to listen to the motion on the status of youth in Uganda. Please join me in welcoming them. You're most welcome. Yes, next. You have something?
Thank you so much.
Why is burning phone in the rules?
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, the matter that is on fire and burning, the matter of national importance, is about the plight of security agencies and mainly police officers as far as salary enhancement is concerned. Right Honorable Speaker, of recent, salaries of science teachers were enhanced, including even some officers who are scientists in the police. And previously, even the salaries in 2016, they increased the salaries of some lawyers and even ICT specialists in the police, but leaving the lower cadres. Right Honorable Speaker and honorable members, most of the work in the forces, the work is done by junior cadres or the low cadres. They are doing donkey work. Right Honorable Speaker, it is unfortunate that here in Parliament, much as we have people who are representing UPDF, the generals, we don't have a body that is representing Uganda Police, Uganda prisons, and they are there keeping quiet. I remember last year you visited their police headquarters, I think Manyatas, and you saw what is happening. Above all, for example, a low cadre will get 700,000 subjected to taxation. Then on top of that, here comes the so-called SACCO, Exodus SACCO of theirs, that is fond of cheating them 100,000 per month, of which they are saving and they cannot access. So, Right Honorable Speaker, my prayers are: one, we need to investigate Exodus SACCO that is extorting money Actually, it is cheating, stealing, extorting money from these police officers. Because I've never seen any circle where you're being forced to save. Even we have circles here. Imagine someone from Karamoja. Imagine from Bududa. You're supposed to come all the way to come and withdraw money of which you cannot even access. So I pray immediate intervention, Madam Speaker, from this parliament. And lastly, government should think about these security agencies, police officers, including everyone, like they should be increased salaries considering the economic situation in our country. I thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker, and we shall keep fighting for them.
Thank you.
Since they don't have representatives here.
Thank you. That's why we asked for a salary review commission, and not only police, but even the army. Even the army, the lower cadres. And this salary review commission should be able to harmonize the salaries of all the workers in the country. And Exodus, we've looked at Exodus several times. I will ask local government central back to make sure they look at this Exodus and report when they are reporting on police. We'll have that next item.
Item 3, statements by ministers on 3-1, commemoration of the International Youth Day.
Honorable Minister of Gender, and we will not debate on this motion, on this statement. We will debate it together with the motion after Honorable Court has presented.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, the purpose of this statement is to provide information to Parliament regarding this year's International Youth Day, which was scheduled to be on Friday. However, in a cabinet meeting of yesterday, we have deferred it for 2 weeks and is expected to be celebrated on 26th August in Gulu City Kaunda grounds. Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues may recall that every year on 12 August, we join the rest of the UN fraternity to mark the day in conformity with the UN General Assembly Resolution 54/120 of the 54th session adopted on 17th December 1999. The designation of the day was in recognition of the numerical strength of the youth and their potential to contribute towards meaningful transformation of society. Right Honorable Speaker, International Youth Day provides an excellent opportunity to all the UN state parties to evaluate the various policies, programs, and strategic interventions aimed at empowering young people. Specifically on this day, we take stock of what has been done, what remains to be done, and how we can position the youth to play critical roles in the socio-economic and political transformation of their society and communities. The celebration of International Youth Day is also in line with the World Programme of Action for Youth, which is the UN framework for youth development, empowerment, and mindset change. At the African continent, International Youth Day is consistent with the African Youth Charter of 2018, and under the Commonwealth is in tandem with the Commonwealth Plan of Action for Youth Empowerment. Right Honorable Speaker, the theme for this year's commemoration, intergenerational solidarity, the role of the youth in the implementation of the parish development model, is a reminder to all young people that the exercise and enjoyment of rights and freedom is inseparable from the performance of duties and obligations. Youth must, therefore, strive to create a world in which all persons are equal before and under the law in all spheres of political, economic, and social and cultural life, and in every other aspect. We need to build a cadre of youth that is cognizant of the need for solidarity among people in various age cohorts and ensure success of the parish development model. Colleagues, the theme also points to the importance of working in a collaborative manner and the need for building networks in order to build a solid base, which is a prerequisite for surmounting any obstacles to development and progress under the parish development model. Colleagues, it is always the case that the International Youth Day will take place at the subnational level, but also the national level, which venue is rotational, and this year will be in Kaunda grounds in Gulu City, and His Excellency the President is expected to preside over the function. During the week prior to the Youth Day, various activities take place, including national dialogue, tree planting, games and sports activities, community work, blood donation, voluntary counseling, testing, cancer screening, exhibitions, and many others. I want to thank Parliament that there was a youth debate hosted by this Parliament, and thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. I would therefore like to take this opportunity to invite you, the Right Honourable Speaker, and colleagues, the Members of Parliament, to join the country at the celebration at Kaunda grounds in Gulu City on 26 August 2022 from 10 a.m. In conclusion, I want to request Parliament to note that this year's International Youth Day will take place at Kaunda ground in Gulu City, that the theme is intergenerational solidarity, the role of the youth in the implementation of the parish development model, and invite you to attend the International Youth Day at Kaunda grounds, Gulu City, and that His Excellency the President will be the guest of honor. I thank you, Right Honourable and Honourable Members.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. And as I said, we shall debate this statement together with the motion, and the motion will be moved after.
Item 3.2, statement by Minister on the status of the parish development model.
Honourable members, on the 3rd August 2022, Honourable Pio Samuel Achuti of Kolde North raised an urgent question on the disbursement of funds of PDM. I guided that the Minister presents a statement, the status report on PDM implementation. Now we are going to hear the status report from the Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development.
Right Honourable Speaker, thank you so much. I have a draft report, but I'm here to beg for more time to present the final report, which I can present to this House. I'm not, as it is now, we are not ready to present the report. Thank you.
Yes.
Right Honourable.
First of all, how much time do you require?
Right Honourable Speaker, we can present this report on Thursday.
Thursday?
Yes.
Okay, those are only 2 days. 1 day.
Yeah, but Right Honourable Speaker, the government needs to style up the parish development model if it's to impact on agriculture, and we are still depending on nature and season. Any delay, especially in the month of August and September, makes a whole year literally gone. The season that normally impacts on agricultural production is the one of November, December, when this country receives heavy rains. So our appeal is, for whatever you want to do, not just a status, you need to come to this parliament and give us a detailed action plan. I've gone through your paper, which you have said is you are not ready. Indeed, you are not ready. Give us, going forward, in the next 2 months, in clinical details, what you are going to do under the parish development model. Because any delay, we have lost a year. If we lose this season, we would have lost a year. And if we lose more year, the other year, 2 years will be for election, and the parish development will be like any other program.
Yes, Obama.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I'm rising up under Rule 189, Sub-Rule E and F of our Rules of Procedure. Right Honorable Speaker, under this rule, committees of Parliament are supposed to interact with the ministers, especially when they have been instructed by Parliament to do so, to discuss matters of policy and operational issues. And Right Honorable Minister, in this perspective, our committee, the Committee of Public Service and Local Government, was supposed to interact with the Ministry of Finance, the Minister, to discuss matters to do with the parish development model and come back and report to this House. But Right Honorable Speaker, we have summoned the Minister of Finance 3 times, and the Minister of Finance has refused to appear before our committee, and yet we are supposed to come back to this House and report on this same matter. He purports to be planning to bring a report in this House. Right Honorable Prime Minister, Right Honorable Speaker, are we really proceeding well when a whole Minister of Finance can denigrate a whole committee of Parliament? Information, okay. He's a member of my committee.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I'm a member of the Local Government Committee. Just as my colleague has said, I think there is a problem with most of the ministries. Ministers. Right Honorable Speaker, you'll find that ministers will move very fast to their sectoral committees that they are aligned to. For instance, you'll find that the Committee Finance, if they invited the Minister for Finance, the Minister will move in very fast. If a minister like local government invites the Minister for Finance, there will be lax, there will be a lot of, I don't know how to call it, but normally they ignore our invitations. Right Honorable Speaker, I think it's a serious problem. It is not only local government that is complaining, but I think a number of committees have this kind of challenge. The time is now, Right Honorable Speaker.
Honorable members, I want to refer you to Article 90 of the Constitution, and that is Article 93, Clause 3A. And then I also want to refer you to Rules of Procedure 208A on the powers of a committee. So I don't see why you should say that the ministers refuse to come. You have the powers, you invoke the powers and summon them. You have powers of a high court using the Constitution. Leave alone the rules of procedure, but the Constitution. No, that arrogance is not for Parliament. Invoke the rule, invoke the article, and then you will come and let us know that we invoke the article, but this person failed to respect. Stop lamenting here as if you don't have the laws. These are the laws you sought to uphold. I don't want to hear anybody saying that the minister failed to come because you have the powers.
Right Honorable Speaker, even today, the Minister of Finance felt him Honorable Rugorovi was supposed to come. He failed to come. And I'm really surprised to see him here masquerading that to bring a report to the House. Eh? Is he in order?
Honorable members, I don't want noise.
Right Honorable Speaker.
Why don't you get a warrant for him to appear?
Most obliged, Right Honorable Speaker. Today we are going to arrest you.
Honorable Lugolovi is going to bring a report on Thursday, and you will debate on that report.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. But, Right Honorable Speaker, to put the record correct, today we called the Committee of Public Service to say that we had a conflicting meeting with the Committee of Finance. And indeed, I spent the whole of this morning with the Committee of Finance. But we called them and they accepted our apology, not to appear before them. About the earlier invitation, I'm not aware, but I was ready for you, Mr. Chairman.
Honorable Ngobi. Honorable Lugolovi, did they write to you inviting you to the committee? Or they called you on phone?
Honorable, they invited us in writing, but and in fact I was meant to be there this morning. But then Honorable Kasaija got a commitment elsewhere and he said that he was not going to be able to go to the Committee of Finance, and asked me. There was a lot of business pending in that committee.
Why didn't you have the cutters to also write back to them?
The time Right Honorable was not there, because I was meant to be here at 10 with the Committee on Public Service and Local Government. But suddenly, I was asked to go to the other committee, and we called them.
You need to treat others the way you would want to be treated. And in finance, there are almost 5 ministers. Why wouldn't you send another minister? Why didn't you send another minister?
Right Honorable, Honorable Anite is on leave. Honorable Kasoro was busy on a Myoga country, and Honorable Kasaija was committed on something else. So I was the only minister. Honorable Musasizi is not available on station. He has been committed somewhere. And we all appreciate that Honorable Musasizi has always been here.
Next item.
Item 4, motion for adoption of the report of the Committee on Public Accounts, Central Government, on the Auditor General's report on the financial statement of NACHA, Research, Training, and Mentoring Program for Career Development of Faculty in Medical Education Partnership Initiative institutions at Makerere University College of Health Sciences for the year ended 31st July 2017 and 31st July 2018.
Honorable members, as I earlier on made a reference to Article 163.5, which requires Parliament to consider and pronounce itself on the report of Auditor General that has duly been presented to the House, tabled, and within 6 months of its submission. My guidance on COSASE report applies to all the parks as well. I therefore urge the leadership and membership of the park to take note of that accordingly. Pursuant to Rules 1746 of the Rules of Procedure, I invite the chairperson of park to present the report. Honorable Chair.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Article 163, subsection 4 of the Constitution mandates the Auditor General to submit to Parliament an annual report of the accounts audited by him or her for the financial year immediately preceding. The Constitution further, under Article 163(5), requires Parliament to debate and consider the report and take appropriate action within 6 months after the submission by the Auditor General. In accordance to Rule 174, the Committee on Public Accounts, Central Government, considered the Auditor General's reports for the financial year 2020/2021. Madam Speaker, I have the honor to present the Auditor General's special audit report on the Namave Thermal Power Plant.
Which report are you
Thank you
reading?
very much. I have 3 reports.
You have 3 reports, yes. There is one of MEPI.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I have the honor to present the financial statement of nature of research, training, and mentoring program for career development of faculty in medical education partnership initiative institutions MEPI, implemented by Makerere University of Health Sciences for the year ended 31st, 2017, and also 31st July 2018. Allow me lay original copies of the report and also copies of the minutes and proceed to present the report.
Let's do.
Madam Speaker, I hereby lay the copies of the minutes and proceedings of the committee. Hereby lay the minutes and proceedings and also copy of the original report. Madam Speaker, this is a report of the Committee on Public Accounts, Central Government, on the Auditor General's report of the financial statement of Nature and Research Training and Mentoring Program for Career Development of Faculty in Medical Education Partnership Initiative Institutions MEPI at Makerere University College of Health Sciences for the year ended 31st July 2017 and also 31st July 2018. This report is signed by the members and it is duly uploaded. The introduction 1.1. On the 1st September 2021, Parliament referred the Auditor General's report on the financial statement of Nature, Research Training and Mentoring Program for Career Development of Faculty in Medical Education Partnership Initiative, MEPI, at Makerere University College of Health Sciences for the year ended 31st July 2017 and 31st July 2018. The report that attracted unqualified opinion by the Auditor General covered the accounting statements comprising of income and expenditure statements of 31st July 2018. the statement of financial position, statement of receipts, funds, accountability statements, and budget status summary sheet. He noted no key audit matter to communicate in his report for both financial years. 2.0 methodology. Pursuant to Rule 174, the committee scrutinized the report of the Auditor General by meeting the accounting officer of Makerere University, the principal, College of Health Sciences, the project investigator, Nature Projects, and the accountant, College of Health Sciences. 3.0 Key findings and recommendations in the special audit report. Financial year ending 31st July 2017, under absorption of funds totaling to an amount of $51,795.72 US. The Auditor General notes in his report that a review of the budget and cash book indicated that the project management budgeted for USD $799,000 for the period under review. However, US dollars 309,032.61 cents, indicating 39% was released, reflecting a shortfall of United States dollars 489,967.39 cents. The under-release of funds was attributed to inability by the project management to absorb the prior year release balances of $51,795.72 US. An analysis of performance by the Auditor General indicated that the under-absorption was occasioned by the closure of the university between October 2016 and early January 2017 due to a strike which affected the progress of fellows' research activities. It should be noted that under-absorption of funds poses a risk of failure to attract future donor funding. While meeting with the university secretary, who is the accounting officer, and management of the College of Health Services, the committee was informed that the under-release of funds was caused by the inability by the project management to absorb the prior year release, while the low absorption of funds was due to delay by fellows to obtain the required ethical approvals with any of the Makerere University College of Health Sciences, Institutional Review Board, and the Uganda National Council of Science and Technology. Further, the management blamed the strike at the college that stalled activities at the college for over 3 months, affecting utilization and stroke absorption of the funds. The committee, however, noted that the under-absorption of funds was recurrent at the college. Even in financial years where there were no strikes, the management informed the committee that they have preferred to carry forward the monies not spent over the years as opposed to spending for the sake of finishing it. They further noted the challenges posed by procurement processes, especially for biological research reagents that take longer than normal. They decried the strict procedures prescribed under the Public Procurement and Disposal of Public Assets Act, PPDA, which does not take into account the challenges in procuring items such as biological research reagents. The management of the College of Health Sciences further informed the committee that the numerous strikes at the college were occasioned sometimes by factors beyond their control. The strike by members of staff is most times in agitation for increment in their salaries, and those by the students are mainly caused
by welfare issues that are triggered by increase in the prices of commodities and or maybe tuition fees. The committee notes that under-absorption of released funds affects the implementation of planned activities, which defeats the purpose for which the funds were disbursed. It also poses a risk of failure to attract future funding. Madam Speaker, the committee recommendations. The committee recommended that the college devises means of enhancing funds absorption, including starting the procurement process in time to cater for challenges in procuring biological research reagents. The college should engage with the President's Office, the Institutional Review Board, and the Uganda National Council of Science and Technology to devise faster means of obtaining the necessary ethical approval by fellows. The government needs to undertake a study on how to amend PPDA to facilitate specialized programs which may be hampered by lengthy processes. Madam Speaker, financial year ending 31st July 2018, absence of clear policies on recruitment of staff, unauthorized recruitment of staff. The Auditor General notes in his report that a number of staff were recruited by the project management without following the available recruitment as prescribed in the Human Resource Manual. Section 2.4 and 2.5 of the manual provides that all persons seeking employment with a university shall do so through a transparent process, including applying for the job and interviews through the Director, Human Resource, or as may be advised, depending on the type of employment sought. A review of the detailed budget and staff list revealed inconsistencies between the budget and the actual number of staff, with 8 staff recruited instead of 5 co-principal investigators planned for. While meeting the committee, the management of the College of Health Sciences acknowledged the concern in the report of the Auditor General and informed the committee that the challenge sometimes lies in the restricted timelines in the implementation activities, which has forced them to hire experts outside the stipulations of the Human Resource Manual. Madam Speaker, the committee made the following notes. The committee notes that hiring staff outside the set regulation amounts to abuse of office. Management should always negotiate ample project timelines to cater for all processes, including recruitment. The university should be involved in the process of recruiting staff to avoid backdoor recruitment. However, the investigators should be hired based on suitability of candidates. B, unclear criterion on staff contract renewals. From a review of sample renewed contracts, the Auditor General indicates in his report that there was no basis for determining satisfactory performance for the staff whose contracts were renewed, as there was no evidence of an appraisal process. This poses a risk of having non-performers as part of the staff. Madam Speaker, the committee in this case recommends that the project investigator should put in place a robust mechanism of assessing the performance of staff, results of which should be used to determine renewal of contracts. Performance appraisals should always precede contracts, for it is the corporate way of running institutional projects. In conclusion, Right Honorable Speaker and members, we should always encourage and institutionalize good management practices in all our institutions and set them out as centers for excellence. This will not only ensure that we deal away with blatant abuse of office through floating procedures, but also create a repository of management solutions, enhance productivity, and ensure high-level consistency. This is what we should desire of all our institutions, Right Honorable Speaker. As I earlier on said, this report, Madam Speaker, is signed by 3/4 of the members. I beg to submit.
Thank you so much, Chair, for a brief and concise report. Members, you've heard, and we will send this report to Finance for a Treasury memorandum. Anybody who wants to say anything, the report is, yes?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I would like to appreciate the chairperson for the committee. There is one key issue I would like the minister to address. The issue concerning strike in the institutions, universities, and the schools. Right, Honorable Speaker, mostly our education system.
Is that issue in the report?
Yes, and it's one of the serious issues raised by the chairman. Madam Speaker, I need the minister to brief the House on the modality they are putting in place to address strikes in the higher institution of learning. Wherever the strikes takes place, Madam Speaker, you find the school is closed, activities is put to hold, and it interferes a lot with the management and the development of the education system. This is very serious matter, Madam Speaker. That is the point I wanted the minister to clarify.
Minister.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. And I want to thank the Committee of Park for coming up with this very important report. This is the research, training, and mentorship program that is aimed at improving the career in the Faculty of Medical Education that is in Makerere University. Indeed, as we've heard, there was an interruption in terms of implementation due to the strike that occurred in this institution of higher learning. Madam Speaker, it is true that we've had strikes as opposed to embracing problem solving in our institutions of learning. And a committee, my ministry has put in place a committee to investigate on this matter. And I want to appeal to you, Madam Speaker, that on this matter of strike, I may not be able to give the causes as right now. But allow me, after the committee's report, that my ministry has put to investigate and mitigating factors and measures to be put in place to reduce the strikes in higher institutions of learning. Allow me at an appropriate time to come up with that report on specifically on the issues of strike. But otherwise, we are grateful for this report, and we have taken note specifically on the recommendations that the committee has made.
And remember, this report is coming, a Treasury memorandum is coming on this report, and that is on action being taken. Yes?
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. The information I wanted to give to the Minister, as she's bringing the report from the committee involving or investigating the strikes in Makerere University, they should also include the conduct of the VC or the Vice Chancellor of Makerere University, that is Professor Barnabas Nawang. Because for many times, when you hear the student's voice, it is always connected to the acts and the way the principal or the professor is trying to conduct the university like a primary village, because they run on the rules they want. And right now, for the information,
Honorable, the rules of this house is you don't talk about a person who cannot respond to what you're saying. This should have been found in the committee, and you'd be able to speak about it. So for now, we can't speak about him because he's not in this house to defend himself.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Jessica.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues. I want to thank the committee for a very good report. Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, however, I am concerned about the information in the report that the under-absorption of money under this project has been consistent for some years, even where there was no strike, even where there was no COVID. Therefore, Right Honorable Speaker, I pray that a deeper investigation be done, because there might be a likelihood of poor planning, but also lack of capacity to absorb these monies. To Right Honorable Speaker, it has become a trend in many projects in the country, especially in the areas of recruitment, where people decide to pick their own relatives and friends. So some of the staffing challenges, probably if they can get better investigated, Right Honorable Speaker, that can reduce the corruption in the recruitment and the projects in the country. Thank you so much.
Etuka.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I want to thank the Chair for the report. Right Honorable Speaker, one of the challenges has been the matter of hiring staff, and it has affected, or is one of the reasons for the under-absorption of funds. Right Honorable Speaker, when we look at the public universities in this country, including Makerere University, you find that there are so many highly qualified lecturers with PhDs and all the prerequisite qualifications. But instead of using this internal staff, whose capacity sometimes is even built by the universities tend to hire from other sources. And this is one of the reasons, I think, why our universities are not performing very well. Right Honorable Speaker, I pray that the ministry should look into the staffing position of all these universities and promote or encourage promotion of those who have qualified, because we have so many lecturers who are in acting positions, they cannot be promoted, and yet they have all the qualifications. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Sarah.
Right Honorable Speaker, I am a member of this committee, but since the Honorable Namuga is standing up, and members are not, there is no controversy, I was requesting that she moves that this report be adopted, Right Honorable Speaker, if that is permissible.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Before I move for the report to be adopted, Right Honorable Speaker, my interest is about the challenges that are posed by procurement. Right Honorable Speaker, this has not appeared in this report alone. PPDA has been accused of delaying procurement processes, the PDA units in different entities. Right Honorable Speaker, it's not that the processes are not clear, but it's the individuals in these offices. Right Honorable Speaker, the government has lost a lot of money via delays in procurement. Can PPDA come up with a special report to explain to this country why procurement has become a problem? And it's one of the areas where government is losing a lot of money. Delayed processes, failure to absorb money. I think it's a matter of capacity on the side of procurement officials and the PPDA. Ministry of Finance should be interested in itself in the conduct of the procurement cadres and PPDA itself. Therefore, Right Honorable Speaker, I move that report be adopted by this House.
PPDA, is under COSASE. Can we ask COSASE, among the reports that they are looking at, can they look at PPDA to understand what is happening in PPDA, what mischief is there, and see how we can resolve that mischief? Yes, Honorable, is it seconded? Is the motion of Honorable Nabuga seconded? Seconded by Lum Santa, Akelo Lucy, Obama, Malende. Malende, welcome back. And Honorable Abedi Anifa. This time is not seconding. Dorcas, Nathan, Etuka, Adome, Phyllis, seconded by the whole House. Honorable members, I put a question that a report of Public Accounts Committee, Central Government, on the Auditor General's report on the financial statement of nature, research, training, and mentoring program for career development of faculty of medical education, partnership initiative institution, that is MEPI, at Makerere University College of Health Sciences for the year ended 31st July 2017 and 31st July 2018 be adopted. Those in favor say aye and to a contrary nay. The ayes have it. Next.
Item 5, motion for adoption of the report of the Committee on Public Accounts, Central Government, on the Auditor General's Special Audit Report on the Namamve Thermal Power Plant for the year ended 30th June 2021.
Honorable Chair.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. As earlier on highlighted, I'll just give a brief. Article 163, subsection 4 of the Constitution mandates that we handle these reports. Madam Speaker, the minutes and proceedings of the committee are duly signed and attached for Namamve Thermal Power Plant. I beg to lay.
Please lay.
Madam Speaker, the original report of the Committee on Public Accounts Committee Central Government on the Auditor General's Special Audit Report on the Namamve Thermal Power Plant for the year ended 30th June 2021. The report is duly signed by the requisite number of members. I also beg to lay the original report. Madam Speaker, I will move straight to the introduction. 1.0. On the 5th of October 2021, this House referred to the Public Accounts Committee, Central Government, a special audit report on the technical, legal, and financial evaluation of Namamve Thermal Plant by the Auditor General for the year ended 30th June 2021. 2.0, the methodology. Pursuant to Rule 174, the committee scrutinized the report of the Auditor General by meeting the following stakeholders: Number 1, the accounting officer, Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development. Number 2, the management of Jacobson Uganda Power Plant Company Limited. Number 3, the management of Uganda Electricity Generation Company Limited. Number 4, the management of Uganda Electricity Transmission Company Limited. And number 5, the management of Electricity Regulatory Authority. Examining the report, the committee reviewed and made reference to the following documents. A, the special audit report by the Auditor General on the Namamve power plant. 2, the implementation agreement between Government of Uganda and Jacobson Electro as Norway. The opinion of the Attorney General on the implementation of the expiry of the implementation agreement. Number 4, the draft power purchase agreement to be executed between Uganda Electricity Generation Company Limited, UEGCL, and Uganda Electricity Transmission Company Limited for Namamve Thermal Power Plant. The next is the implementation plan for the Namamve Thermal Power Plant, showing readiness for the takeover. F, concession and assignment agreement between ESCOM Uganda Limited and Uganda Electricity Generation Company Limited relating to Kira and Naluvale hydroelectric facilities. G, copies of certificate of titles of land on which the facility sits. The committee further, Madam Speaker, undertook a field visit to the thermal plant in Namamve. 3.0, the background. On the 13th April 2007, Government of Uganda, through the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development, entered into a build, operate, and transfer implementation agreement with Jacobson Electra AS Norway for for the building, operation, and maintenance of a 50 megawatt heavy fuel thermal plant at Namamve for a period of 13 years, and thereafter transfer it to the Government of Uganda in accordance with the provisions of the IAA. Madam Speaker, in the implementation agreement was set to expire in September 2020, and the government commenced preparation for takeover. Pursuant to Section 2, Subsection 1 of the implementation agreement, by instituting a multi-institutional committee to plan for a seamless transfer of the plant to Government of Uganda while guaranteeing continued supply of thermal electricity as when required. The multi-sectoral committee recommended that a technical, financial, and legal due diligence of the plant be carried out before handover pursuant to Section 6, Subsection 1, Subsection 3, and Section 6, Subsection 1 to 4, and Subsection 6, 1.6 of the implementation agreement to establish the status quo of the plan, assets and liabilities, among others. However, this recommendation did not take place in time due to COVID-19 restrictions and lack of funds for due diligence, prompting the multi-sectoral committee to recommend an extension of the implementation agreement for a period of 1 year ending 15th September 2021 to allow the government of Uganda finalize arrangements for the due diligence study. The study was eventually done and the report presented to the ministry in August 2021. The study determined, among others, that there were existing obligations by Government of Uganda which had to be settled, estimated at 14,427,232,228 before the handover. The committee was informed that the government has since met all its obligations to JUPCL, that's the partners, and the handover of the plant had been scheduled for 15th February 2022. This followed a series of back and forth engagements.
Honorable members, I'm sorry to interrupt the chair. In the public gallery this afternoon, we have pupils and teachers of Kingsway Primary School, Agago District, represented by Honorable Minister Akori Beatrice Akelo and Honorable Court Amos. They've come to observe the proceedings of the plenary. You're most welcome, and thank you for coming. I had to interrupt because they want to travel back to the village. You're welcome and safe journey back. Please, Chair.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for the interlude. Madam Speaker, that the same provisions had been misinterpreted as it did not apply where the government or any defaulting party would wish to use them to avoid meeting its contractual obligations. Number 4.0, key observations and recommendations in the special audit report. A, overall plant condition and performance. Madam Speaker, the Auditor General notes in his report that overall the power plant was found to be in a good condition based on a site visit conducted and other information reviewed. The Auditor General noted some minor incidents, however, affecting performance that included the generator differential protection, nuisance stripping, which was noted to be a recurring problem, lack of formal maintenance philosophy, lack of an oil spill contingency plan, and a non-functional computerized maintenance system, Maximo. The committee established, while interacting with the Ministry of Energy, that Uganda Electricity Generation Company Limited, a government agency appointed by government to operate and maintain the plant after the transfer, is ready, is already in a discussion with original manufacturers, the Wärtsilä, to carry out a detailed technical analysis of the power plant. It is hoped that their report will help draw up a list of maintenance requirements. Madam Speaker, the Ministry of Energy further informed the committee that other works such as earthing, Maximo, and the non-functionality of the original black start system have been reinstated by the then plant operator as a precondition before the takeover. The government hopes to net it off from outstanding money to be paid to the outgoing plant operator. Madam Speaker, on this, the committee notes that the plant has since been taken over by government. Going forward, however, government should endeavor to regularly determine the cost of repair and maintenance of such enterprises through detailed studies. This will give a clear estimation of the costs of the obligation. B, valuation of the plant. The Auditor General notes in his report, Madam Speaker, that the value of the Namanve thermal plant was estimated at euros 27.6 million after taking into account the depreciated costs of euro at 39.15 million. On the original plant cost of euro 66.551 million, the report further notes that the land was valued at Uganda shillings 4.4 billion of the total value of the land, with additional land acquired by Jacobson Plant Company Limited being valued at Uganda shillings 800 million. Madam Speaker, this plant was initially seated on the land that was acquired by government, but for its operations, Jacobson did an expansion of the plant, but also acquired land for which that expansion was done. The Auditor General recommended that government should enter into negotiations with Jacobson to buy off the said land and compensate the company for the value of the additional improvements made. The committee, Madam Speaker, found out that the Ministry of Energy has since engaged the Chief Government Valuer to make a determination on the true value of the land and the developments on it before compensating the company. Madam Speaker, the committee recommends that in future, government should be more exhaustive in their negotiations and undertakings to avoid ambiguity when settling obligations. C. Land ownership. The committee notes that one of the contentious obligations which had been asked by Jacobson before the transfer of the plant is compensation of the additional land acquired by the company and the lack of a clear plan by the government on how it intends to settle all the other obligations. While meeting Jacobson, the committee was informed that the land initially availed to them by Uganda Electricity Transmission Company, that is the one I told you was the initial land, UETCL, for use at Mutundwe, was found to be inappropriate for use after a site study. The next one offered at Namamve was equally found to be unsuitable for the establishment of the plant after geotechnical investigations revealed that the land was not firm enough to withstand vibration from the machines. The company stated that because they had already signed an implementation power purchase agreement with UETCL and given the load shedding and the intimacy in power supply in the country, then they found it imperative as a matter of urgency and necessity to acquire additional land and construct the plant to help ease the power needs of the day then. The committee notes that although the company said they held discussions with UETCL before acquiring the additional land and were given a go-ahead, a letter seen by the committee dated 15th June 2007 by UETCL in reply suggests that they were not authorized to purchase any additional land. UETCL was categorical in the letter that the 3.77 acres land it had made available was adequate enough and that any other purchase would be too expensive. At this point, however, Madam Speaker, the company had already procured the additional land without approval and no corresponding provisions in the implementation agreement. On interrogating the matter further, Madam Speaker, the committee found out that the additional land bought by Jacobson for the plant is owned by a one Mr. Omulen Lawrence, the current chairman of board of directors of the company, and is held by the company on a lease granted by him. Apparently, because the company was foreign owned, it could not acquire Milo land as it is now. The plant stands on land partly owned by Uganda Electricity Transmission Company Limited and Jacobson, for which they sought compensation. The committee recommends that government should acquire Milo interests for the said land. In the future, Madam Speaker, government should be more exhaustive in the negotiations and thrash out every detail, e.g., whether this land was a recoverable cost or part of the investment by the investor. Madam Speaker, on D, the additional investment by the Jacobson Group. The Auditor General notes in his report that the management of Jacobson submitted claims totaling to $3,634,383 in respect to additional investments made. However, supporting documents reviewed during the audit revealed that only $2,943,810 was satisfactorily verifiable. The Auditor General recommends that government should enter negotiations with Jacobson's on how the company can be compensated. An opinion by the Attorney General, Madam Speaker, seen by the Committee on Settlement of Financial Obligations as determined by the Auditor General reads, and I quote, "Settlement of financial obligations as determined by the report of the Auditor General is not part of the obligation of the parties under the implementation agreement, and therefore cannot be a precondition to effect the transfer of settlement of the 1,000. Speaker, the committee then went ahead to recommend that in future, government should ensure that all obligations are met as stipulated in the agreement from both parties before due diligence. The report of the Auditor General noted significant compliance with the legal requirements in the implementation agreement and other non-functional maintenance system, ownership of the land on which the plant is located, actual asset list, and inventory list as required by the generation and sale license of 2020. The committee, Madam Speaker, on this recommends that the government should take in. Madam Speaker, the committee also made general observations. Number one was originally foreign-owned and to real be exported to generate the much-needed foreign exchange and foreign specialized wealth. Two, Madam Speaker, the committee also observed that whereas Uganda Electricity Generation Company Limited is a government enterprise, it's a company which is subject to the provisions of PPDA and regulations. These were omitted in granting it concession by the government without giving other companies, including Jacobson, a chance to compete for the job. Owing to the monopoly given to Uganda Electricity Generation Company Limited, it is apparent that government could obtain a lower bid, as indeed agreed by Jacobson in its submission. Madam Speaker, the committee then made the following recommendations in respect to those observations. Government should always undertake efforts to promote local companies which have demonstrated expertise and capability in specialized and technical areas like this sector. Companies like Uganda Electricity Generation Company and Jacobson should be supported and encouraged to compete favorably. For example, Uganda Electricity Generation Company Limited quoted a startup cost of $30.03 per megawatt, a charge that Jacobson did not need to incur. Similarly, Jacobson quoted a declared capacity charge of $6.60 per megawatt against the 7.08 per megawatt of UEGCL, over and above the market price. The government and indeed all parties should respect and follow the PPDA and regulations, for they were not made in vain. In conclusion, Madam Speaker, the global energy needs are continuing to diversify and evolve as the market for renewable energy production has become more competitive and cost efficient in comparison, are expensive in terms of fuel.
Thank you so much, Chair. You've heard about the report. Christian, you want to say something? Yes?
That Uganda is moving now towards the appreciation of renewable and clean energy. But, Right Honourable Speaker, based on what we have been presented, it is evident that in most cases we allocate areas where these investors can establish their investments, without thorough environment and social impact assessments. From the report you can see, as Uganda, we allocated Mutundwe, we allocated Namave, but based on the geologists of the investor, they found that the land we had allocated them was not adequate, could not accommodate the vibration of the investment. It came to our mind that this is the right time. We should fast track the geologists that we have in Uganda. Because when you look at the challenge of flooding in Mbale industrial area, the same applies. The investors come thinking that we have done a thorough, we
will transfer it back to our people or to the government of Uganda.
Should like to thank content. I'm somehow impressed that this company was given to the local people. This is what we have been crying for. But, Madam Speaker, I don't know whether we have some people, some Ugandans who are trained. At one time I visited, as a committee, we visited, I think, Ghana, and any company, a foreign company which comes in, one very key issue that must stand out very clearly is training of the local people. So that when they are leaving, we have the local people trained to technically manage such a good and big program. Madam Speaker, I want to thank you. I beg to submit.
Morris.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, I wish to join the colleagues in thanking the chairperson and the committee for the good work done. Right Honourable Speaker, the committee has given us good recommendations. And under that background, Right Honourable Speaker, unless somebody has a serious amendment, I wish to move a motion that the House adopts the report of the committee as it has been.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Isaac Otimgiu, Badiere County, in Meru District. Right Honourable Speaker, I think the committee has actually presented a very important report which is affecting most areas of our country. And for that reason, I do not second the motion which was brought on the floor by our honourable colleague. I still feel that we have some input that we should put on this.
What is your input?
My input, Madam Speaker, is mainly that the energy amendment bill which was passed in this House, which is due to be brought back, cannot actually be brought back any sooner. Because the issue of monopoly is what is actually affecting our energy industry in this matter. Uganda Electricity Distribution Company and the Generation Company are actually taking advantage of the monopoly in this industry. As we can see on this report, also on the recommendation of the committee, their names have again come up.
So you're suggesting we merge them?
I'm suggesting that actually we merge the company because they're all almost doing the same thing, Madam Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The issue of monopoly denying the small companies to be able to get capacity building, yes, we see.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me an opportunity to say something about this report. Allow me also to add my voice in thanking the committee for doing a good job. Madam Speaker, I associate myself with the recommendation that was made by the committee, especially the recommendations on page 11 of the report, and also observing that JUPPCL, which was formerly foreign, is actually a local, is now a local company. Madam Speaker, as a country, we need to put a lot of effort in local content and develop our capacity as a country, because many of these foreign companies, when they come, take away even the knowledge which they came with, they even take away the money. So for me, I am in total agreement and support of the recommendation of the committee. But most importantly, Madam Speaker, on recommendation 3 on page 11, where government and indeed all parties should respect and follow the PPDA and regulations. Madam Speaker, following your directive to COSATU, I take this as something very urgent, that we need to work on as a Vice Chair of COSATU, and this is something we are going to follow up. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I want to thank the committee for their excellent report. Mine is just to resound the fact that 2003, 2007, and 2011 were quite black spots in the history of the energy sector. The load shedding was at its peak. So I think government took that bold step to come in with thermal as an emergency measure. And these emergency measures boil down to the fact that you don't plan, you don't forecast. Thermal electricity is the most expensive. I think going forward, instead of these knee-jerk reactions, how can we forecast 30, 40, 50 years from now, build infrastructure that will not be able to be outstripped by demand? We are at the equator, Madam Speaker. Solar harvesting, solar energy, this is being done in Europe, and for them the panels actually turn. Where the sun is, they turn. But here, we are at the equator, we have the solar. Why don't we go into solar farms? I saw one on about 50 acres in Busia, and I think that's the way to go. We can get the same 10 megawatts from solar farms. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Is that John?
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker, for the opportunity. I want to thank the committee for the report. And Madam Speaker, allow me I want to agree with honourable members here who have posed concern about the delay or underutilization or delay in the thermal solar project in Namambe. Right Honourable Speaker, as a Committee of Finance, in the last Parliament, we took a visit to the Namambe industrial, the Kampala industrial area. And one of our findings was many investors are not taking up the plots that have been given because of the delay in this thermal solar project. And then the other finding that we got was that the government seems not to be speaking to each other. The NEMA had put a sort of an embargo on this because they were saying this was in a wetland and the project could not be continued. It is paramount that government needs to coordinate their intervention, because these are same entities in the government, but you find that when the project has been approved, then the other part of government is saying, no, you can't continue. I think this is delaying service to our people. This is delaying the growth and development of this country, and it needs to be urgently addressed. I thank you.
Thank you so much. Government, we need to speak to each other.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Namanze Samuel Power Plant is in Nakoni District. So, my question, I want to first of all appreciate the report from the task committee, but I also want to add on to this information about acquisition of land in Namanze Industrial Park. Regarding Investment Authority normally has location depending on the kind of work you're going to do, the ability of the machines. I wonder why before allocating the thermal plant activity or transaction could not have such done as such before allocating either land leading to vibration. 1, 2. I also want to ask whether this thermal plant attracts employment to my local people around Namanga. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Honorable Mr. Gandhi.
I'm following you. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for declaring me permanent Mr. Gandhi. I would like to make a comment on paragraph C. I think there are so many issues private, although shares have been bought in, but some of us who with the economy when it was almost 80% in the hands of the foreigners, in order to transfer it to the hands of the local. It's not easy. Sometimes it appears as if the local have bought shares in a previously owned foreign company. When you look deeper, what the lawyers will call opening the veil, or opening the veil, you'll find that actually deep inside there has not been much local component in the new face of the company. So, Right Honorable Speaker, we want to caution ourselves, this institution of Parliament, that we must encourage our own company that can help us, one, to develop something which is ours. Power is so important that if we are to let it go in the hands of foreigners and they can cause darkness in the country, it's a big security risk. So we should make sure we strengthen our own and also help us to recruit our own people in the employment of those companies that we are actually trying to bring down. So, Speaker, in that paragraph which I'm citing, paragraph C, here is a chair who has sold chairman of the board of directors, chair selling his own private land to the company where he is the chair and the leader of the policy formulation of the company. And you sell your own land to the very company. This matter has not been clear here. And there are so many other issues which are hanging. Right, Honorable Speaker, we can quickly approve this report, but we must be mindful that there are so many errors which have been cited. We must clean it, we can't run away from it. It is very obvious and we can't hide it. I think we need to dig deeper, and maybe we need to be guided even by the legal team, because here we are talking about a letter dated 15 June, barring the company from further acquisition of land. So how did they manage to get more land when this particular section did not allow them? So really, I think we have to be straight, because nobody else can help us if we can't help ourselves. I thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. And maybe, sorry, Right Honorable Speaker, why is West Nile in darkness? Why is West Nile in darkness up to this area? We have already signed a contract with this company. I don't know whether they are called Electro something. Why is it still in darkness? And even yesterday, Right Honorable Speaker, I tried to call here and there, and I was told that there is no law
about our Karuma Dam, if they can possibly save us the crisis at the moment. So, right, Honorable Speaker, we have spent a lot of money. We have invested so much in power, but we are not seeing the result of that investment. I thank you, right, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you so much, Chair. Can you respond to some of the questions? But before you respond, I had a meeting today with the members of Parliament of West Nile, headed by the chairman of West Nile, with the Minister of Energy, with the Electromax, is that Electromax or whichever, the companies that provide power to West Nile, and we agreed there should be a motion in this house tomorrow in regards to electricity in West Nile. Because lack of electricity has caused a lot of insecurity, it has affected the health centers, it has affected education, it has affected everything. And when you look at the providers of power in that area, it's like they are cautious on what to say. They say for the last 1 week we have been okay, and yet the members are saying there is no power. So we'll have a motion here tomorrow, and we have that issue resolved. It is only this house that can pronounce whether the company can continue or not. And I want to tell you, ministers, it is this house that can only make a decision, good or bad. Chair.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I want to thank the colleagues for the observations and compliments that have been raised. Honorable Apol raised the concern on page 4 of 14,427,000,000, which he said looked inconsistent on the other page. Madam Speaker, this was an estimate of the outstanding obligation. And at the end of it all, when you go to page 10, after assessment, and the assessment by Jacobson insisted the implementation agreement had expired. So in that case, they cannot transfer the project to GOU before their obligations are met. And you will recall that the 14, which was raised on page 4, was what was formally agreed as the outstanding obligations. Other than that, they were prepared to institute a legal dispute resolution on that note. So that 14 is what was agreed, and I think was harmonized and resolved for payment. Honorable Lucy raised the concern of local content. Madam Speaker, as you will read in our general observations, Jacobson is one of the companies that has moved forward in this sector, private company that has moved forward in this sector. They trained personnel, and our own UEGCL took over some of those personnel who had been trained. But have also moved ahead in other various energy-related also the oil sector. So it is actually one of the local companies that continues to build the capacity for the benefit of our local industry. The Honorable Member of Parliament from Kono raised the concern as to why there was a shift from Namangwe to where the company finally settled. We were told, and as per the report, geotechnical surveys were done on the areas that had been allocated to them in Namangwe. found not suitable, and that is what informed their movement to an area that met the minimum requirements as far as the environmental impact assessment was concerned, but also in terms of suitability. As far as employing the local people around there is concerned, I want to believe that those with the technical expertise, this is a very sensitive project, those with the technical expertise, like I've already highlighted, maybe some of those people absorbed and who have been taken over by UEGCL might be Mukono people. I'm not very sure, but as for the technicalities and requirements of this project in particular, I know they have continued to grow the Ugandan local content and experts. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Minister.
Right, Honorable Speaker and colleagues. First of all, I would wish to appreciate the report of the committee. What they highlighted in their report and the inadequacies at the time were truly inadequacies that we had. And we also have to look back, when was this thermal plant put in place? It was at the time when this country was literally running dark, and government had to make a decision to have a thermal plant put in place at that time to meet our energy needs. Over time, we have built capacity to generate the power through sustainable means. For example, the generation has actually gone up since then. The renewal of the concession for generation of thermal electricity power was actually occasioned by still the need to have the plant running. And it reached a time when the concession came to its logical end. And in the concessional agreement, the power purchase agreement, it was actually very clear at certain the thermal plant reverts to government. And that's when it goes to government. And the transfer was guided within the laws, the provisions of our laws of Uganda made by this parliament. And now, at the time of the transfer, Jacobson was registered as a concessioner, as a foreign company. And in the provisions of the concession, the plant was supposed to be handed over to Uganda. That's how this came about. And this thermal plant now, as we talk, we have sustainable generation of electricity through renewable sources, where we are projecting that we have more power than we are consuming. We are producing now up to about 1,370 plus megawatts against a peak demand of about 800 megawatts. That's why in Parliament last time we were asking to be allowed some resources for deemed energy. However, this thermal plant is still necessary as a standby source of energy should anything happen. It is a standby as a backup. It is not operating 100%. It's operating at minimum just to keep the engines running. There isn't much business